Welcome back to Little Big Wins. This is my little podcast where I express my feelings, thoughts, expressions, again, that the world really does not have any care for, not significant at all to most communities even that are more local as part of that world, that really is too busy to care about little things in my particular life and in a lot of people's little things in a lot of people's lives. However, for me, to be able to express and vocally list topics and subject matter and content, I'm expressing things that have been a big part of my big time healings, and in those little things I find big wins for sure. Tonight I have been contemplating a lot, well, not just tonight, but within the last little while I have been contemplating life and the end of life, or when someone walks through the door and walks on into the next dimension, which is our original dimension before Earth life, they pass away. And just recently we had one of our managers in the cultural arts field here locally where I am now on Oahu, who suddenly just passed away. And I really cannot believe she has passed away and that she is gone. And I've been thinking a lot about a diversity, just a range of feelings and thoughts and realizations that have come to the forefront. This great cultural artist, this great culturalist, taught so many of us young ones. I was not even under her direct line of management and supervisory. However, she was always there alongside my other managers and supervisory staff and admin. And she was just always there. In fact, she had been at that cultural center for almost 50 years as a performer, a dancer, a teacher, a culturalist, and as a kumu hula. And I'm not doing a very good job saying anonymous. So when I'm talking about hula, I give out more clues as to who I am, although I'm trying to keep anonymity as I really value my privacy. Well, anyway, she had passed, and it added another layer of sadness to my heart. Previous to that, a couple years ago, another musician from that same cultural place had passed away. It was just so sudden. And then another culturalist, a wife of a culturalist that I had danced under, she had passed away. I was actually in her care, under her supervision, when I was a weaver at that same cultural center. And I just keep being reminded how precious life is. And number two, people we believe they're going to be here forever on this planet. When they pass away, death is something that is a natural process. Many people describe it, who have crossed over and come back, have said, really, it's just another dimension. That's it. It's another phase. It's like walking through a door. However, the preciousness of their life is so meaningful to me personally and to many people that we cannot believe that they disappear once they cross over and choose to stay crossed over. And I'm grieving that, like low-key grieving that they are not here in this dimension along with us and along our physical bodies in that same way. They're alongside us in another form, and we cannot see them or feel them or touch them in the same capacity prior to their leaving us and to walk into the next dimension, and to be closer to us as well in that form. And I think about that they leave a hole in our hearts because there's such an expectation that people will be here forever. Even when they appear healthy. And so I'm grieving the loss of these souls who were such a terrific and incredible and an invaluable, highly valuable, significant part of my growth when I was a student and worked at that cultural center for a few years. And I almost don't want to cry too much because I have a tendency to cry and then not stop. Because I feel traumatized by that. Well, anyway, I feel like I'm trying to articulate how I'm feeling. At the same time, I do not want it to overshadow the opportunity to honor and to focus on the recently deceased. This particular soul was such a sweet, tender-hearted, tender-speaking, often soft-spoken, light-hearted, easy-laughing elder for all of us crazy kids performing at that particular backstage and on stage. And she was just lovely. I again got to see her after she had retired. I got to see her almost about a year and a half ago at a reunion or anniversary of our performances of that cultural place, that cultural arts place. And it was lovely to see her. And I expressed to her that I was always so grateful she was soft-spoken. If you know me personally, oftentimes I can be very sharp-tongued for particular moments that need that cleansing, or at least in my opinion. There's a particular purging that needs to happen. Ethics need to be meted out. But overall, however, I remember this Kumu's, this auntie's particular set of skills, which are like soft skills. And I had always remembered that about her. I carried that in my professional life. Just the way that she approached people, her soft-spokenness, her sweetness. It was very, very feminine. Her high-pitched voice and the kindness that I remember she was emblematic of in my memory. And I'm glad I tokenized that in the correct way. I was never scolded by her. And it was fine. It'd be fine if she was, because, a lot of us island kids are socialized that way. Even in professional spaces where we are doing cultural performances. And I expect that, my mind and my brain and the way I've been socialized, I expect that sternness coming from a lot of our elders and seniors, which is fine. However, it was never that way with her. And I appreciate her. And the legacy in the teaching she left with those she managed, the great spirit of aloha, and her cultural knowledge. And I especially remember her Christ-like friendliness and gentleness and tenderness. was very difficult to have when dozens and dozens of crazy students from all over the Polynesia and the Pacific, mostly all over Polynesia and the Pacific, are running around, running rampant, on stage and off stage, trying to make their cues, and trying to dance the correct moves and the motions, and doing it all together as a collective. Backstage goofing off, also on stage goofing off, and also learning. So it's a bit of an organized chaos in the backstage. If you're listening and you know that particular space, and I'm ever so glad that is in my history. But I am, in honoring this particular kumuhula for Hula Hawaii, I'm really glad she had a personality that could emotionally carry and care for all of us, and have that sweetness in her voice and tenderness in her approach, vocally and verbally, to me personally, and to so many others, like countless other students and other community workers in that particular center and in that particular place. I knew her in her older years, but I was also so impressed by the beauty of even her photos and videos of when she was younger and dancing at the center. Just always gorgeous. And danced Tahiti and also danced hula from Hawaii. But I just really cannot believe she's gone. I know that death is a particular process afforded to each of us. How grateful I am for the resurrection, but she is gone. She has walked on. The others are also gone. They have walked on. Have joined the ranks of the others that have gone before, who were also there, and how endearing it is to each of us that we are all part of that thread here in this special place, this town, this community, and that particular place where we worked and danced and continued ancestral based culture and arts as a way to share aloha, at the same time getting school paid for, college paid for. And just have a great gratitude of multiple layers of things given to us who went to school here and also performed at that magnificent place. Well, anyway, I wanted to pay homage to her. Tonight we did a presentation at her family's house, and did some performances from the time that she was around, earlier performances. And so I danced most of them with our group, even though I was not under her tutelage nor managerial supervisory line, but she was still there alongside my own managerial supervisory lines, and again, ever present for us on so many levels. Physically, she was there. She was organizing this and that, setting things up. She was also emotionally there for us. And that long before we started talking about mental health, she already knew the value of soft approaches and soft caring towards each of us as young students. Again, that has stayed with me even in my professional career as to how to approach people. That she was the original soft skills person in my life, and long before it was called soft skills, she was already practicing that. I appreciate her so much as a tribal elder, an island tribal elder in my life, having taught to me by example, and so that has been really special to me. Another aspect of this is now we are of age. It's been 25 years since I have graduated from this particular institution where I was a student, and right next to that was where I worked and performed and even emceed at times, and of course learned my own indigenous regions, cultural practices, singing and dancing and performing. The different shows, and I honestly, it's 25 years later now, and these elders are gone. And so the next question is, it's almost traumatizing to think about, but it's also demanding. It's a demanding question, which is, who is going to take over as these culturalists? Who's going to do that? Who's going to do that? And I don't know how I feel about that. I feel a certain responsibility for that. I don't want to be presumptuous and presume, oh yeah, I can waltz right in particular spaces and, suddenly just take over as some kind of senior tribal island elder and assume authoritative takeover of all cultural things and cultural this and cultural that. I'm not really that type of presumptuous person. But I think about legacy, carrying legacy on from previous ancestors who were there for us. I think about what I'm doing now. I'm teaching hula Hawaii and Hiva to college students, and I'm not teaching it at a cultural center. I'm teaching it just as a teacher, part-time, to students. I could be teaching the other upper division, the literatures, the art histories, the writing, the American studies, sure. And no doubt one day I will. However, the class I'm in is a legacy we are continuing from another previous great tribal elder who has walked on and passed away, and her funeral had just happened just a few months ago. And I cannot believe she's gone. I just cannot believe she's gone also. But when I was a student, she was my hula teacher. And now I'm teaching that same class. I never thought I would be teaching her class at all. The thought, it just never occurred to me. Later on, when she had moved away and relocated with one of her children and his family to the mainland, another pal of mine who was older and another star cultural center dancer, she took over that class for several years. I want to say over a decade, teaching those classes. And she has passed on. 2 years ago, she has passed on. And so we slipped into those roles, me and a bunch of other pals. We slipped into that role to teach adjunct. I teach just in the springtime. My other pals take over during the fall and the winter semesters. And that has been teaching me a lesson about legacy. People I continue to look up to or looked up to for a long time were our teachers. They were our supervisors. They were our managers. They were our culturalists. They were our elders. Right about the time that they're at the age that I am in right now. And now they're gone. And continuing a legacy is not necessarily something far away from me the way that I thought it was. Because now I'm slipping into that role as a type of culturalist and teaching it. And the students look at me as, they call me Auntie, and then they say my name. And I'm approached that way by younger people who are in my classes. And, of course, anyone else on this campus in this area as well. That's how I am addressed. And so now I'm in that capacity. I am seen in that capacity. I am revered that way. I'm not walking around arrogant about it. I'm just explaining this dynamic now that we are that continuation of the legacy, and of which I never ever thought I would be a link in that chain. It is a great responsibility, and it's a great responsibility. It is a great opportunity to continue ancient things and to continue ancient or vintage dance pieces and vintage music pieces to keep that going as well. I also see my good friends that I also used to dance with, they continue the legacy on. They're teachers for another department, culturalists as well. But also now they have their own 501c3, their own nonprofit, so they can continue this in the community. And the drumming, the singing, the dancing, the lyrics, the songwriting, the activities, and they are now the young ones look up to, as we once were young and we looked up to ours. And we are there now. We are there. It's not someone else. It's not someone else stepping in to do it. It's us. It's not another elder that's living on another 80 years so that we can continue to look up to them while they are alive. They pass on. They walk on. And then guess what? It's us. It's us. And I have to show gratitude. I did not ask for this to happen to me. I did not ask. I did not seek it. It just happened to be able to teach these classes and also continue reliving and relearning these old pieces from that cultural arts space, and to continue that in my life, and to be part of that in other people's lives who are my age or around my age. We were all once young, and now we are older and slipping into that role of leadership. We did not expect to do that. And so I'm at a little bit of a crossroads in my life, because the realization is hitting me in multiple layers. And it hit me one strong multiple layer in the version of like a slow burn happening when this recent senior culturalist passed away. This now an ancestor, she has passed away. And life is so precious, and yet also legacies and teaching legacies are precious, and they what they teach us is precious. I have the free agency to choose so many things. I finished grad school.
I graduated with honors, with a PhD, and I really love that. I will always be so grateful for basically rock star philosophers. If you read philosophers, continental philosophy, some American even, most likely those actually were my actual professors. They were my teachers. So there's prestige in that, and I'm really quite grateful for them, absolutely. And I can live my life, and I thought I was going to live my life and follow that path along those lines. With some of them are now ancestors now themselves. And I can still do that. I can, at a drop of a hat, I can just go do that and be a professor just like them. And I can choose to do that. That's in my midst. It's in my capacity. It's not a problem to pick up Immanuel Kant, or Noam Chomsky and just teach. Sure. Any of the literatures, fine. And I can, and I will. However, my heart also, my being also is allowed to choose to also go hard in the life of this great gift, Pacific Indigenous culture, arts, and identity. It's who I am. I was there long before I started reading books as a kid, I really just love dancing. I just love the music. I love the culture, the cultural part of it. And I have the capacity and the freedom to choose to go hard on that along those lines. I do want to remind people, though, that I do have a lot of European blood in me as well. European and American blood. There's a lot of white blood in me, which I do not dismiss. Those are they run through my veins. German, Irish, British, found some Scottish, Jewish, possibly some Hungarian, which would also make me part Magyar, possibly some Iberian, and there's Italian in there, and several centuries back. So there's Danish, there's just a lot. It's almost unending and comical too, quite frankly. So I do not dismiss that those sets of ancestors. By the way, I'm grateful that I've had the chance to study in those lands, and also study / immerse myself in the indigenous part of my identity. The islands in the Pacific, native life raised me as a kid, and for the most part, and I never forget my Cali community peeps either. For the time that we had lived there when I was younger, just for a few years. But anyway, I have the independence and the freedom to choose what focus I would go into. I've even started businesses. And quite frankly, I'm figuring out that there's a great responsibility needed for me on that local native island side to not toss aside the continuing duties and obligations of cultural expression. We're long past cultural relevance. All of it is relevant, all of it. And but there's a duty to be here to shore up more of our own island natives in island native spaces. And I do enjoy my time teaching the students at BYU, always keep myself further away, but if you know me by now, you probably know who I am. So much for anonymity. There's a duty, there is an obligation to stick around. So I'm at a little bit of a crossroads. This realization came when a recent ancestor, a recent elder had passed. And I had to really think about things, which is ironic because I feel needed in New York also. So I really want to continue being part of these entities, the Cultural and Art Center here in Hawaii on Oahu. I love the students at the nearby school of that Cultural Arts Center for Native peoples of this region in the Pacific. But I also love the community as well. And so I've got to find a way to have all of it. And I do want to reiterate that I'm trying to do these businesses work from home and remote so that I could do what? So I could dance more. So that I could have safety in the form of any employment under any employer who just might one day wake up and just not like me and then fire me. I want to have that particular type of security separate from an employer. And I'm happy to look at some ways to fulfill that obligation, and because it's an obligation. I know that I can fulfill my intellectual side of things with that whole scholarly approach to critical thought, to philosophical texts, to ancient texts, to just that entire the critical arts and letters for sure. American studies, sure, that can be fulfilled, and that can actually be done at any time. I don't need to be a tenure track professor to engage in that. So that's doable. And also it's an easier task to try to figure out businesses. Today I did some marketing sessions. Okay, I fell asleep through some of them, but I basically got the gist of what particular steps to take to grow my work from home remote e-commerce businesses, which I'm really excited about, but those things I know how to do, and they can afford me the time to be here more and do things more and more often and more frequently with the island part of me. And so I've had to really think about that. I've started thinking about that with the recent death of this particular elder, now an ancestor. So I've got some planning to do, and These are things I must do. And I will go and attend the temple tomorrow, a very sacred space where I can figure out how to do so. Live mainly again forever in New York City and find ways to stay connected to the Pacific through cultural dance, the songs, and that's really where my heart is. The culture is expressed in the language, which is in the songs and the movements, and just everything. And that's a part of me. It's a crucial part of me, and it is as complex as, and in different ways, same level of complexity as the philosophical scholarly texts that that the European and American scholarly side has a hold of me. So I just wanted to express some of the things that I have been able to try to think of, or almost compelled to think of right now in my life. and to behold those things, to realize that, for me to realize that I am beholden to the Lord's promptings as to what I must do, and how I can plan it, and trust in that for Him. And I really need to think through that. And I love helping, well, I'll save who I favor to help for in another conversation, or maybe I will never have that conversation here on my podcast. But anyway, I just wanted to express that I am thinking through these things. They are not easy things. They are big things, really big things. I don't know what I'll do if suddenly I hear of the passing of yet another island tribal elder. I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would do. It's, there's just, I'm feeling traumatized by their exiting. Yeah, so I want to be prayerful and attend the temple a few times. Well, I should be attending the temple often, but I think I want to go in and do a series of visits with the Lord there. So I'm going to call this episode Crossroads, in relation to what I have shared here. You also, if you're listening, might be in the same boat. That you've got the world is your oyster, and yet at the same time, there's almost too many wonderful, incredible choices to make. Too many. And you've got to plead with the Lord and inquire of the Lord as to how you're going to do it. I want to make sure I add that with the same type of the cultural and native part. Add that with the same type of seriousness as I do with the other parts of my life, because it's a gift. It's a gift to have this lineage run through me from the Pacific. And to be able to express that through cultural song and dance. Those are very serious things for me. And in the most fun ways, with amazing people in my life because of that. You also might also find yourself at a crossroads, trying to figure out how to do this, how to do that, maybe in multiple locations. Know that you are not alone. This is definitely something I'm experiencing right now. It's a very real thing I'm experiencing, and I just wanted to share that here. I'm at this crossroads. Hope to have you join us the next installment of our episode. Thanks so much here on Little Big Wins.